Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're once again talking about our favorite champagne socialist, Hasan Piker. Now the reason we're talking about him is because he's crashing out over the reaction to his latest puff piece, this time released by GQ, where even his own fans are calling it cringe, making him even more upset. And he's also going to talk about many different parties in this article, including the usual suspects for him, the people who live rent-free in his head. I'm talking, of course, about Ethan Klein and Asmongold as well. Now, as always, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe. You guys get the drill at this point. So let's jump right into today's video. Now, there's been a long string of puff pieces made about Hasan Piker. His PR budget must be through the roof. We've seen some classics recently, like this one by the New York Times titled "A Progressive Mind in a MAGA Body. Hasan Piker pumps iron, likes weapons, and wears pearls." Amazing stuff. And then we have this one from NPR, where you can see the title, "Hasan Piker, a himbo gateway drug to the left? Not to be dramatic, but would you die for Hasan Piker?" As you can see, the reception has been great on these puff pieces, but this is the most recent source, GQ magazine. And I don't know if you guys are like me. I remember GQ magazine being on the shelves when I was a kid, and it's been many, many years since I've heard about them, and I am shocked. I am floored they're not bankrupt. Honestly, it's a miracle they're still around. Now, for those not familiar, this is their About section, who we are. GQ is the global flagship of men's fashion, the arbiter of cool for anyone who sees the world through the lens of taste and style. Honestly, Hasan Piker is a great fit for a group of self-important narcissists like this who think they're the arbiter of anything cool and anything to do with taste or style. Now brace yourselves. We're going to look at the cover image of this piece on Hasan Piker. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. This has to be bait at this point. What is he doing, man? You can see he's really letting it all hang loose, and honestly, it goes right with his strategy. I mean, his fan base is going to gobble stuff like this up, and they're going to give him even more support because they care more about how he looks than the practicality of the things that he's saying. And you can see his head, again, is so disproportionately small to his body. It's like medically fascinating. I'm not even saying this to be mean or anything. It is medically fascinating how disproportionate his head is to the rest of his body. But anyways, you can see the headline, "Hasan Piker thinks America might be cooked." Well, they're definitely cooked if this guy's supposed to be like the inspiration for the youth politically. But you can see the small intro here. Martial law canceled elections. The combative leftist streamer Hasan Piker, I'm pretty sure he hates being associated with the left, but anyways, he predicts an ominous possible future for the US. He's fighting back the only way he knows how, by raging against Trump, Israel, Democrats, and the wannabe bad boys of the manosphere. This is a real article. Someone got paid to write this. Now, things get really crazy when you start reading sections of the article, and you really quickly understand the kind of situation we're dealing with here in terms of coverage. This is a real passage, okay? His Bernese beefcake Kaya tussles with a few other golden brown dogs as Piker burns through his 70-minute workout, exhausting himself in the process. He strips his shirt off. An army of girls and gays, not to mention admiring looks maxers, would kill to be where I am now, next to Piker, as he pants in a pair of neon shorts with black Calvin Klein boxers poking out and sunlight glistening off the sweat beaded on his chest hairs. This literally reads like erotica. This is literally like an erotic fan fiction someone wrote about him. But no, this is an author contributing to GQ, a magazine that's been around for decades. Someone got paid money to write this absolute slop. It's insane. And here's some more pictures that they made of Hasan Piker, captioned, Medicare for all, TRT for all, Ozempic for all, HRT for all, including children. That's my argument, Hasan Piker says. And you gotta trust him. He's a conventionally attractive man striking a pose like this. You gotta believe him, right? He's got all the answers. This is pretty much what GQ is going for, and it's really what Hassan's going for at this point. But when you start asking, Hassan make the rich pay Piker, how do you achieve these goals? Because his politics reads like a wish list. I want this. We should have that. So on and so forth. But if you ask him, how are we going to do that? How does that actually come into place? There's no answer. Crickets. And even worse yet, he would never sacrifice anything of his own to make it happen. This guy lives in a $3 million home, drives a $200,000 luxury car. He is not going to be bothered to do any sort of contribution to make this happen, even as a self-proclaimed socialist. Now, there's one more little, oh God, brace yourselves again. This is the photo a lot of people are really making fun of right now, but what I found very interesting about this is that Hassan reposted this, where it says Taylor Swift has likely seen the new GQ photo of Hasan Piker in bathtub featured in the same issue as her current boyfriend Travis Kelce. Why would he repost this? Why would he care about this? It's so weird. It shows the level of vanity here. That's all about showing off his looks to not just people, but celebrities he's trying to get attention from. And in this case, secondary attention, incidental attention, just by being in the same magazine as Taylor Swift's boyfriend. But anyways, you knew it was coming, right? He does anything, there's got to be a link to Asmongold. Asmongold lives so rent-free in this guy's mind, it even shows itself in interviews completely unprompted. And for context, before we get into the segments about Asmon in the actual article, let's look at a clip from a few days ago where Hassan calls out Asmongold and how he's brainwashing the youth and corrupting them with his political views. How ironic, am I right?
I know that there's a lot of people who started watching me when they were like 12. I know that. And they just like grew up watching me, which is good, I think. Under different circumstances, I say is bad, but I know what that environment looks like outside. Like, could you imagine a 12-year-old learning politics from like watching Andrew Tate or like Asmongold or something? You know what I mean? That's like, well, devastating. That is you're just getting one-shotted from the jump. You're coming into an environment where you're just like, I am going to learn everything on the opposite side of reality. New kids in corporate settings are talking like that chatter. It's insane, law. Yeah, you got spawn camped. It's over. You have to hit a reset. It's over. You took L after L from the start.
So now that we've seen that clip from just a few days ago, it makes this section of the GQ interview even more ironic. So in the interview, he talks about some young Democratic influencers like Dean Withers and Harry Sisson, where basically he makes it very clear that he's trying to influence what they can or can't do. He's literally trying to alter how they should act. Doesn't that sound very ironic after the clip we just watched? Both of these guys, I'm pretty sure they're like 20 or 21, but here's the actual quote. He's also trying to mentor new establishment Dem influencers like Dean Withers and Harry Sisson. I told Dean personally, 1, stop with this liberalism stuff. What does he mean by that? Cut it out. Become more leftist. And 2, try to do things that are not just debate focused, he says. They're not listening to me, so who knows? Interesting stuff, trying to tell these guys what to do. The same thing that he's accusing Asmongold of doing. But the funny thing about this is, Hassan, you can have him. Like, nobody wants Dean Withers. This is the same guy, in case you're not familiar, who had an absolute crash out when one of his viewers on TikTok pointed out the fact that he's smoking on a vape.
I'm sorry that I have anxiety. Okay, and honestly, yeah, it is kind of the fault of people like you that want to come up here and bully and berate me over something that I don't do. Okay, so cut it. It's not a vape. All right, it's an anxiety pin, and God, the amount of times that I've asked you to respect me and respect my anxiety pin is, at this point, getting ridiculous, Cody. So please,
justified crash out
for the final and for the billionth time, will you please just respect the fact that it's not a vape and that it's an anxiety pin?
It's a goddamn anxiety pen.
Get it right.
What flavor is your vape?
Yo, you really got me.
Get the
in for this.
Get the Get the out!
Yeah, the future looks really bright, guys. The future looks really bright. But anyways, this continues on with some more clips here from Hassan in his latest stream where he's reacting to people going over the GQ article. And basically, he's seeing a lot of backlash from his opponents. I think everyone knew that would happen, right? People who don't like Hassan are going to look at that and laugh at it. Even Hassan knows that. But there's something that's really making him upset. It's the fact that his own chat is starting to roast him over this stuff. And he starts getting very defensive, which is not too surprising. And he begins to once again invoke Asmongold. And he says, basically, guys, don't be like Asmongold fans. Like, they can't even criticize him without being labeled Asmongold fans. This is rent-free on another level.
It's not that I think it hurt your feelings, but definitely does not paint a positive view to the general public as someone who should be listened to about politics. You're wrong about that. Only this community will see their favorite streamer get a major magazine article and go, actually, no, this sucks. You shouldn't like this and be happy. I know. But they're wrong. And I think that there's no reason to even go back and forth on whether or not this is negative framing, especially considering that my idiotic, drama-laden haters are probably going to do that over and over again. And the same dumb that were like, oh, well, I told you this was bad, will then relitigate those cynical criticisms because they're fucking jealous. Let's be real. And they will bring that back over here to be like, see, I told you. See, Asmongold said this article sucks. Well, Asmongold doesn't know how to read. Why do you care about what his perspective is? You know? There's already plenty relatively sizable communities that literally make it a pivotal part of their content to just like consistently undermine every single thing that I do. I am an experienced media personality. I have an understanding of how these things work. This is literally my professional job. And I'm telling you, my assessment of this is that this is a very good, very humanizing piece, especially considering that it shows the full scope, okay? It shows that I'm brash. It shows that I can be edgy, but it also does not hide that I am a progressive figure who is genuine, who believes in the things that I speak out on, and I'm hard-headed and stubborn.
So moving on from that side of the video, we're going to another part of the interview where Hassan tackles the terrorism allegations. Imagine being in a place as a content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call him, and having to constantly deal with terrorism allegations, where he says this: you have a guy like me, name is Hassan, and I'm saying, no, you don't understand. Israel is still very much the responsible party for October 7th, for like 75 years of brutal occupation and apartheid. And now people are like, oh, you're a terrorist? And that really hasn't gone away. Well, the thing is about the October 7th comments, he denies the rapes that were documented from that attack, but that's, you know, one of the reasons people go after him for that. But this comment about, oh, you're a terrorist, and he's saying that doesn't go away, I mean, it started long before any of those comments about October 7th. Like, a lot of people more aptly have claimed he's a terrorist supporter. And, you know, is it really surprising people are doing that? And it's also interesting that GQ would even interview someone like this in the first place. You know, a guy who said very clearly years ago that he believes America deserved 9/11. He's the same guy who platforms and also glazed up a known Houthi terrorist. He's also the guy who said that he doesn't have an issue with the designated terrorist organization Hezbollah, and also praised Yemen Houthis for seizing civilian ships. I mean, I can't believe someone would say something like that. I can't believe he'd have to dispel these sorts of claims after his history like this. But anyways, it's all a part of the plan, ladies and gentlemen. It's all a part of the plan. So all of this PR he's doing, all of this is what he describes as terrorism insurance.
In my opinion, the GQ article bookends really well with the NPR piece from the other day. They're both something you can point to normie libs if they have questions about Hassan, the terrorist supporting guy. Exactly. Exactly. Precisely. That is the whole point. A lot of these articles are just like terrorism insurance. Remember that. Okay? This is something you show your parents. This is something you show like fucking insane haters and whatnot.
bravo. I mean, what else can you do but clap for this guy at this point? He's like a circus monkey, right? He's giving us endless entertainment. This guy is facing down these legitimate criticisms about what he's said about terrorist organizations and terrorist attacks. And he just responds by saying, well, I'm doing all this PR to get terrorism insurance. So if somebody sees this who's a normie, I'm going to have some benefit of the doubt because of these puff pieces. It's just out in the open. He's unashamedly admitting to what's going on here and what he's trying to do with this massive PR movement he's been doing over the past couple of months, if not longer. And of course, we get these allegations, right, that this is all rage bait. I don't really know at what point rage bait is worth it anymore, when it just makes the people who don't like you not like you further, and the people who do like you start to question you a bit. And you can see some of the quotes where he's literally trying his best to be edgy, with another banger photo or example of the one from the cover where GQ shares this right here saying, Hasan Piker on Zoran Mamdani. Big Z's the man. He's great. He's going to implement woke Sharia in New York. Very excited about that. All the buildings have to face Mecca. That kind of good stuff. It's not even like good rage bait. It's just like, at this point, like you pretty much have to associate this with his real beliefs, because this is not far off at all to what he normally would say or believe. He's trying to claim this is all rage bait, but it's not really working. It's not a very valid defense anymore. But you knew at some point, right? Ethan Klein would get involved. He would comment about this, but he was included in the interview before he made any sort of a reaction to it. And yeah, he shared this with this comment saying, have we jumped the shark yet, folks? Which is, of course, a Happy Days reference when Arthur Fonzarelli literally jumped a shark in the show, and that was pretty much the downfall of that show. But anyways, this is the quotes about Ethan Klein from the article, and it's something. It says, some have accused Klein of having a psychosexual obsession with Piker. No, not some people. Hassan has said that multiple times. Let's make that clear. But he goes on with a quote here from Hassan saying, he talks about my body and the way I look a lot. I don't know why. Maybe it's low-hanging fruit for him. He was always a funny guy. He was never a big looker or anything. It wasn't part of his brand, so I never thought he cared about that sort of thing. But maybe after he lost weight, his personality changed a bit. I genuinely don't know. Last time I talked to Ethan, he was fat. I mean, he still had his issues, but at least he was seemingly more empathetic. That is the most vain quote I've ever seen. Believe me, if the roles were reversed in terms of the comments here and who was saying them, Ethan would be getting eaten alive on social media, being called an ableist, fat-phobic, all of these things. But when Hassan says it, well, I guess we're not supposed to care. On top of that, this guy's saying Ethan is so obsessed with Hassan's looks. Hassan is obsessed with Hassan's looks. And this whole GQ article is heavily focused on his looks. I mean, that is like the whole point, right? The photo shoot, everything. It keeps coming back to, hey, look, I'm a conventionally attractive guy. That means I'm more believable, more likable, right? That's the whole point of this article. Everyone knows it. But at one point in his recent stream, Hassan was pressed as to why he's so obsessed with Ethan Klein. And he says, whoa, hold on a second. I didn't make this question. The interviewer just went off on their own about Ethan. I have no control.
Also, I didn't bring this up. He did, for the record. Like, the journalist did. I would not have brought up Ethan Klein on this profile if it were up to me.
Now, let's end with one last quote here about Ethan Klein. It says this. The Klein fight reveals just how insular and incestuous the world of streaming is. These beefs and online persona are the substrate from which Piker, the streamer and person, springs. He texts with AOC sometimes, sure. But his close friends aren't campaign strategists and professional politicians. They're the creators he plays basketball with, like Ludwig, Buddha, and video game speedrunners like Point Crow, and the influencers who co-host his podcast Cutie Cinderella, Will Neff, and Austin Show. You could visualize the streaming world as a series of lunch tables or loose clusters of collaborators like the AMP Collective and the FaZe Clan. Though this world of influencers is its own Hollywood with a distinct cast of A-listers and cult faves. Piker recently attended creator Tara Yummy's birthday party. You guys big Tara Yummy fans? I have no idea who that is. Am I supposed to be impressed by this? Apparently their birthday party at the Roosevelt Hotel, a weird collision between old and new school celebrity where FaZe adapts, and Jason the Ween sidled up next to Miranda Sings and Love Island contestants. Indie sleaze documenter Cobra Snake shot the photos. You know, just when I thought I was terminally online, I feel a little better. I don't know anything happening in this section. All I know is it sounds so egregiously pretentious. It's actually nauseating. This sort of self-congratulatory pat on the back type section here, amazing work. The puff piece couldn't get any puffier if they tried. And there's one more quote, just one more I want to share because it's quite funny and the reaction to it is just as funny. Another photo op from Hassan where he says this comment on far-right clowns, aka anyone who disagrees with him, aka anyone to the right of Mao Zedong. He says this: I call it vice signaling. These guys, whether they're real villains or not, are presenting themselves as bad people, and people like it. Nobody likes cancel culture but GD. That stuff was keeping MFs in check. Yeah, Hassan hates cancel culture. He just loves the results of it. Okay, bro, but the comments are just glorious. Why is he doing a photo shoot / puff piece when there's a genocide? I know, literally. Look at his tiny head. You guys are promoting someone who literally cheers on terrorism. Why is he swimming with his shirt on? You forgot to add the clown makeup. Champagne socials are so tiresome. Unrepentant lib femme sex buyer equals opinion discarded. Petite bourgeoisie poses for a photo shoot. I mean, dude, anyone outside of his orbit or his immediate following, they look at this and they laugh. This doesn't help his image whatsoever. It's an absolute clown show, and everyone knows it. I mean, this is just kind of the peak of all the sort of puff pieces we've seen so far. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.